The transport's hull groaned as it touched down on the outpost's landing platform. Dust and static electricity rippled through the thin atmosphere, dancing over the viewport glass like restless sparks. Inside the cargo bay, crates stacked with supplies sat strapped down: food, mining equipment, medical kits. But the most dangerous cargo was the one no one wanted to be responsible for. The containment cage. The alien cub had been captured 2 weeks earlier by a patrol on the rim of unexplored territory. To most of the crew, it looked like a young predator. A scaled, four-legged creature with luminous yellow eyes and claws too long for its small frame. Even young, it was quick. Too quick. Lieutenant Rana Vey, the outpost security chief, stood stiffly by the cage, her hand near her sidearm. She was a woman of precision, every line of her uniform perfect, every movement measured. Her orders had been simple: keep the creature alive until the science division arrived. Keep clear of the bars, she warned as the bay door opened and the settlers filed in. It bites. Hard. That was an understatement. 2 soldiers bore fresh scars across their arms, bandaged tight beneath their sleeves. The cub had attacked everyone who had come near it, snapping, clawing, lunging with the savage, unrelenting fury. Everyone except for one. Among the arrivals was a girl, no older than 12. Mara, daughter of the colony's chief engineer. She was slight, her dark hair tied messily back, her uniform oversized like hand-me-down clothing. She carried herself with a curiosity that outmatched her caution. Her father, Kalen, pressed a guiding hand on her shoulder. Stay back, Mara. This isn't something to play with. But Mara's eyes weren't afraid. They were intent. She studied the cub not with the suspicion of the adults, but with something that unsettled Rana. Recognition. The cub growled, a low, rolling sound that vibrated through the deck plating. Its tail lashed. Its yellow eyes burned with animal hatred until they fell on Mara. Then, impossibly, the growl subsided. Mara stepped closer before her father could stop her. The adults tensed, hands on weapons, voices warning, but Mara ignored them. She crouched down cross-legged in front of the cage, only a meter away from the bars. The cub tilted its head. It's not angry, Mara said quietly, almost to herself. It's scared. Rana's jaw clenched. Scared things bite just as hard. The cub pressed against the bars, but it didn't lunge. Its claws curled back, its eyes narrowed, then softened. And then, without warning, it curled up against the corner nearest Mara, like a pup seeking warmth. The cargo bay went silent. Even the dust storm outside seemed to hush. Kalen exhaled. What in the stars? One of the soldiers muttered. It ripped Taro's arm open yesterday. Now it's... cuddling? Rana didn't relax. If anything, the tension in her spine sharpened. Don't be fooled. Predators don't change overnight. She glared at Mara. Step away, girl. Mara didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on the cub. Its breathing slowed, settling into an almost peaceful rhythm. It doesn't hate us, she whispered. It just doesn't trust you. The soldier scoffed. And it trusts you? Mara nodded once, her expression oddly certain. For Rana, this was worse than violence. Violence could be managed, contained, predicted. But whatever was happening here wasn't normal, wasn't controllable. A bond forming between human and alien, without orders, without logic. And yet Rana couldn't deny what she saw with her own eyes. The most dangerous creature they had ever caught had stopped fighting. Not because of training, not because of tranquilizers, because of a child. The outpost commander's voice broke the silence over the comms. Security status report. Rana hesitated, staring at Mara and the cub. For the first time in her career, she didn't know what to say. The outpost commander's voice crackled again over the intercom. Lieutenant Vey, report. Is the cargo secured? Rana tapped her comm, still staring at the cage. The specimen is contained. No breaches. She paused. her eyes narrowing at the child who sat unflinching before the predator. But there's been an unexpected development. The commander didn't like vague answers. Details, Lieutenant. Rana clenched her jaw. She hated giving incomplete reports. The cub is displaying unusual behavior in the presence of the engineer's daughter. Non-aggressive. Almost submissive. The line went silent. Then, "I'll be there in 10. The moment the channel closed, voices erupted in the cargo bay. "This is insane," one soldier barked. "We should tranquilize the thing before it gets ideas." "You saw it," another argued. "It calmed down. Maybe the girl's the only one keeping it from tearing our throats out." "That makes her bait, not a miracle," Rana snapped, silencing them. Mara didn't even glance at the adults. She leaned closer to the bars, her voice soft but steady. "You're not so scary, are you? You just don't want to be alone." The cub's yellow eyes blinked slowly. Its breathing deepened as though lulled by her presence. Kalen finally found his voice. "Mara, back away!" His tone wasn't commanding, but pleading. "You don't understand what this thing can do." She glanced over her shoulder at him. "Maybe it doesn't understand us either. That's why it's angry." Kalen cursed under his breath. The girl had inherited his stubbornness, but none of his caution. He stepped forward to pull her away, only for the cub to growl low, protective, a sound that froze everyone in place. "Stop!" Mara said sharply. "You're scaring it again." The soldiers raised weapons instinctively. Rana barked, "Stand down!" She wasn't sure which she feared more, the cub breaking loose or her squiposembuko at firing near the girl. The bay doors hissed open. Commander Halvex strode in, his uniform crisp, his silver hair combed back like steel wire. He was older than Rana, but sharper, his eyes missing nothing. He scanned the scene once and frowned. "Explain," he ordered. Rana saluted. "Sir, the cub has resisted all handling since the capture. It's attacked every soldier that approached. But when the girl entered proximity, it changed behavior. No aggression. Voluntary submission." Halvek's gaze slid to Mara. "And you approached it willingly?" "Yes, sir," she answered without flinching. "Why?" Mara shrugged. "Because everyone else looked at it like a monster." The commander studied her for a long, unnerving moment. "You may be the only thing keeping it stable. That makes you an asset and a liability." He turned to Rana. "We need data. Controlled exposure." Rana stiffened. "Sir, you can't seriously be suggesting—" "I am." Halvek cut her off. "If the girl has some pacifying effect, we need to measure it. Tomorrow morning, move the specimen to the research chamber. She will be present." Kalen exploded. "Absolutely not! She's a child, not a lab rat." Halvek's expression didn't shift. "Your daughter may be humanity's only leverage with this species. You want her safe? So do I. Which is why we're going to understand this connection before someone gets killed." Mara looked from her father to the commander. "I can do it. I want to." Kalen's face crumpled, but he said nothing. The next morning, the outpost's research chamber hummed with sterile light. Cameras tracked every angle. Monitors flickered with vitals, both the cubs and Mara's. Soldiers lined the walls, weapons charged but lowered. The cub was released from its transport cage into the reinforced glass enclosure. It prowled at first, claws scraping the floor, teeth bared. Then Mara entered. The room stilled. She stepped up to the glass. The cub froze. Its tail twitched once. Then, slowly, it padded toward her. Gasps rippled through the observers. The cub pressed its snout against the barrier exactly where Mara placed her palm. Its growl dissolved into a low, almost rumbling tende sound, like purring. One scientist whispered, "Impossible." Commander Halvek's eyes flickered, just for a second, with something like wonder. Rana didn't share it. Her hand hovered near her weapon. Mara smiled faintly. "See? It's not bad." The cub circled once, then, shockingly, lay down against the glass, curling itself protectively as though guarding her. The monitors spiked with data. Heart rates dropped in sync. Neural scans showed mirrored patterns. The scientists scrambled, shouting over each other about resonance fields and cross-species bonding. Halvek raised a hand. Silence fell. He spoke without turning his gaze from the girl and the alien. This changes everything. Rana's gut twisted. She wasn't sure if he meant for the outpost, for humanity, or for the girl herself. Because in that moment, she knew they were no longer studying a creature. They were watching the beginning of a bond. Rana saluted. Sir, the cub has resisted all handling since the capture. It's attacked every soldier that approached. But when the girl entered proximity, it changed behavior. No aggression. Voluntary submission. Halvek's gaze slid to Mara. And you approached it willingly? Yes, sir, she answered without flinching. Why? Mara shrugged. Because everyone else looked at it like a monster. The commander studied her for a long, unnerving moment. You may be the only thing keeping it stable. That makes you an asset and a liability. He turned to Rana. We need data. Controlled exposure. Rana stiffened. Sir, you can't seriously be suggesting, I am. Halvek cut her off. If the girl has some pacifying effect, we need to measure it. Tomorrow morning, move the specimen to the research chamber. She will be present. Kaelin exploded. Absolutely not! She's a child, not a lab rat. Halvek's expression didn't shift. Your daughter may be humanity's only leverage with this species. You want her safe? So do I. Which is why we're going to understand this connection before someone gets killed. Mara looked from her father to the commander. I can do it. I want to. Kaelin's face crumpled, but he said nothing. The next morning, the outpost's research chamber hummed with sterile light. Cameras tracked every angle. Monitors flickered with vitals, both the cub's and Mara's. Soldiers lined the walls, weapons charged but lowered. The cub was released from its transport cage into the reinforced glass enclosure. It prowled at first, claws scraping the floor, teeth bared. Then Mara entered. The room stilled. She stepped up to the glass. The cub froze. Its tail twitched once. Then, slowly, it padded toward her. Gasps rippled through the observers. The cub pressed its snout against the barrier exactly where Mara placed her palm. Its growl dissolved into a low, almost rumbling tende sound, like purring. One scientist whispered, Impossible. Commander Halvek's eyes flickered, just for a second, with something like wonder. Rana didn't share it. Her hand hovered near her weapon. Mara smiled faintly. See? It's not bad. The cub circled once, then, shockingly, lay down against the glass, curling itself protectively as though guarding her. The monitors spiked with data. Heart rates dropped in sync. Neural scans showed mirrored patterns. The scientists scrambled, shouting over each other about resonance fields and cross-species bonding. Halvek raised a hand. Silence fell. He spoke without turning his gaze from the girl and the alien. This changes everything. Rana's gut twisted. She wasn't sure if he meant for the outpost, for humanity, or for the girl herself. Because in that moment, she knew they were no longer studying a creature. They were watching the beginning of a bond. The research chamber's silence didn't last. Once the cub had curled against the glass near Mara, the scientists erupted into frantic theories. Monitors flashed with brainwave overlays, the cub's and the girl's patterns flickering in uncanny alignment. This is a resonance phenomenon, one insisted. No, it's neural mimicry. It's impossible, another muttered. Commander Halvek ignored them. His eyes never left the girl and the alien. Run full diagnostics, test hormonal shifts, stress levels. If there's a mechanism, I want it found. Lieutenant Rana Vey stood rigid by the door, fists clenched. She hated the entire setup. A child in a cage with a predator, even separated by reinforced glass, was madness. And yet, the cub looked calmer than she had ever seen it. Mara knelt and whispered through the barrier. "You're not bad, are you? You just don't like cages." The cub blinked slowly, a predator's eyelids softening into something almost gentle. It pressed its forehead against the glass as though to meet hers. Her father's voice cracked through the comm from the observation deck above. "Mara, that's enough. Step back." But before she could respond, the cub stiffened. Its ears twitched. Its head snapped toward the far wall. A second later, the alarms blared. "Perimeter breach!" a guard shouted. The chamber lights pulsed red. "Unknown contact outside the outpost." Rana's hand dropped to her weapon. "Seal the chamber! Move the girl out! Now!" The cub's posture transformed in an instant. Gone was the docile posture. Its back arched, claws extended, eyes burning with a feral light. But its focus wasn't on Mara. It was fixed beyond the walls, toward the source of the breach. The reinforced glass shuddered as the creature hurled itself against it. The scientist screamed. Mara stumbled back, but not in fear. Her gaze darted between the cub and the flashing alarms. It's not trying to hurt me," she shouted over the noise. "It's trying to protect us." The glass groaned under another impact. Jagged lines spiderwebbed across the barrier. "Contain it," Halvek roared. "If it gets loose, we'll lose everything." "Sir," Rana countered, "if it wanted her dead, she'd be dead already." The cub smashed again, and this time the glass fractured, shards raining across the chamber floor. The soldiers raised rifles, aiming. "Hold fire!" Rana barked, raising a hand. The cub burst through the gap. Dust swirled in its wake as it landed between Mara and the soldiers. Its stance wasn't directed at the humans. It was turned outward, towards the door. The guttural growl that rolled from its throat wasn't for them. A thunderous crash shook the outpost. Metal screeched. Several somethings, were forcing their way inside. Mara clutched her father's voice in her ear. "Get back! Get behind the guards!" But the cub stepped forward, planting itself in front of her, every muscle coiled with primal defiance. Rana felt the blood drain from her face. The alarms weren't lying. The creature hadn't been captured alone. They had brought back a cub. And now, the parent had come to claim it. The outer walls of the outpost trembled as claws larger than rifles tore into the plating. Sirens howled. The control tower's voice crackled through every comm. "Multiple biosignatures inbound. They're breaching the north gate. All units to defense positions." In the chamber, chaos reigned. The soldiers aimed at the cub, then at the walls, then back again. Fear twisted their trigger fingers. "Stand down!" Rana snapped. "Our problem isn't the cub anymore. It's what's outside." Halvek's face hardened as he calculated in real time. "Pull the girl back. Secure her father in command. Lieutenant, you're with me. If this bond is real, it may be the only thing that keeps us alive." Mara pressed a hand to the cub's neck. The creature flinched but didn't attack. Its growl stayed low, steady, directed toward the thunder outside. She whispered, "You're scared too, aren't you?" The cub's ears flicked toward her voice, then it stepped closer, almost shielding her with its body. Another impact shook the compound. Dust rained from the ceiling. Rana's comm buzzed. "Lieutenant, enemy breach confirmed. Not raiders, not machines. Biological, and they're big." Her gut tightened. She looked at the cub, its claws flexing, its tail lashing like a whip. She realized the truth. This wasn't just an animal. It was a soldier of its species, and the outpost had stolen its young. She muttered under her breath, "We've brought war to our doorstep." Halvek didn't flinch. He turned sharply to the soldiers. "Fall back to defensive choke points. Clear the labs. Lieutenant Vey, the girl and the cub are under your protection. If they're a bridge, we need them intact." Rana froze. "You're asking me to protect a hostile?" "I'm ordering you," Halvek said. His voice was steel. The walls shook again, louder, closer. Metal screamed. Mara looked up at Rana, her small hand resting fearlessly on the cub's scaled back. "It's not our enemy!" Rana's instincts warred with her orders. But as the outer gate finally buckled and a roar split the night, she realized that the girl might be right. The cub wasn't their enemy. The real enemy was coming through the walls. The north gate tore apart in a spray of metal. Spotlight swept across the bridge just in time to catch a nightmare. The parent had arrived. It was enormous, 3 times the size of the cub, scaled height black as obsidian, eyes glowing like molten gold. Its claws raked the torn plating aside with effortless strength. Behind it, smaller shapes darted in the shadows, a hunting pack. The outpost's automated turrets roared to life. Beams of plasma lanced through the dust. The parent roared back, a sound so deep it rattled bones. The pack surged forward. Inside the research chamber, the walls trembled. Runaway didn't wait for orders. She grabbed Mara by the arm and pulled her toward the exit. The cub snarled at the sudden movement, but didn't attack. It moved with them, low to the ground, tense like a guard dog ready to spring. "Lieutenant!" Halvek's voice cut through the comms, layered with static. "Get that child secured. We're losing the perimeter." Rana shoved the door controls. The corridor outside was chaos. Soldiers sprinting, alarms blaring, emergency shutters slamming into place. The thunder of gunfire echoed from the north wing. The cub padded beside Mara, its head snapping toward every sound. "Why aren't we fighting back?" Mara cried, her voice small against the storm. "We are," Rana said sharply, scanning for the safest path. "But they're stronger. Too strong." Kaylin's voice blared over comms from the command hub. "Rana, get her here. The command bunkers sealed and reinforced. It's the only place that'll hold." "On it!" Rana pushed them down the hall. Another tremor shook the ground. A vent overhead burst, showering them in dust. The cub lunged forward, shoving Mara back just as debris crashed down where she'd stood. Rana blinked. The creature had saved her. Again. "See?" Mara gasped at clutching its flank. "It's not the enemy." Rana had no breath or argue. She just kept moving. The command bunker doors slid open at their approach. Inside, the hub was a frenzy of screens showing collapsing defenses, packs swarming through fire corridors, and soldiers retreating in bloody disarray. Kaylin rushed forward, scooping Mara into his arms. Relief broke his stern expression for only a second before it hardened again. His eyes locked on the cub as it padded in behind them. "Why did you bring it here?" Rana snapped. "Because it won't leave her side, and because killing it won't stop what's outside." Halvek's voice burst from the central comm line. "The perimeter's gone. All units, fall back to interior strongpoints. Contain what you can. Delay them." One of the officers turned, pale. "Sir, they'll overrun us in minutes." Halvek's reply was grim. "Then buy me minutes." The bunker shuddered again as the parent slammed into the outer walls. Metal bent, alarms screamed, systems flickered. The screens showed the beast tearing through turrets like toys. Kaylin looked at his daughter, then at the cub pressed against her side like a living shield. "There has to be another way." Rana exhaled slowly. "There might be." She turned to Mara. "Can it talk to you?" Mara shook her head. "Not with words, but I feel it. Like it doesn't want me hurt. Like it wants me safe." Kaylin's eyes widened. A neural bond. That resonance the scientists were talking about. On the monitors, the parent smashed through another layer of defenses. The pack flooded into the corridors, hunting in disciplined formation. Soldiers were falling back too fast. Rana's stomach clenched. She had fought in sieges before. She knew the end when she saw it. But the cub was different. She crouched in front of Mara, her voice low but firm. "Listen, if there's even a chance that bond works both ways, maybe you can reach it. Not just the cub, the parent." Kaylin's face drained of color. "Absolutely not. It's either that," Rana said coldly, or we die when that thing tears through the bunker. The room fell silent except for the alarms. Mara looked at her father, then at the Keyw. "B." She touched its head gently. "If I can talk to it, maybe it will stop." The cub lifted its gaze toward her, eyes glowing faintly, as though it understood. Another impact rocked the bunker. A bulkhead split. The parents' roar bellowed through the corridors, so close now, it rattled every bolt. Halvek's voice shouted over comms, "They're inside! Brace yourselves!" The screens went black one by one as the cameras were destroyed. Kalen's hands trembled on his daughter's shoulders. "Mara, no!" But Mara pulled free. Her small frame straightened, her voice steady in a way that chilled everyone. "I have to!" The bunker doors groaned as something massive struck them from outside. Sparks flew. Steel warped. The cub stepped forward, planting itself between Mara and the breach, eyes burning. Rana drew her weapon, not to shoot, but to steady herself. She knew what was coming. When those doors fell, humanity's weapons wouldn't save them. But maybe, just maybe, the bond between a girl and a beast would.